Alright, this is my finished wallpaper. It took a couple hours, but I used a couple different images, but I like how it turned out. So starting off, we have this sky background here, a little bit of a sunset, and then I had this cliff here, and I used the layer mask to get this edge here. Push the layer mask out a little bit, and then use the clone tool to extend it where I needed. Then I had this squirrel, which I cut out with the layer mask, and had to go in. I at first used the pen tool, and then I went in with the brush tool and the quick selection tool to get some of the furs, get it a little bit sharper. I put a gradient on that to make it fit a little bit better. I put this rock here, and I used a couple different tools like the magic wand tool and the quick select tool to get this edge here using a layer mask. I put a gradient on that as well. I had this city. I used the blur tool. I used I think a lighten or screen mode on here, and I used a layer mask to get this cliff. I think I used the pen tool to get all the edges there. And then I put a gradient on that, make it seem like it was fading out. I then put this cliff in here with a screen again on top, and I put a gradient on that one as well, using a layer mask, of course, to cut it out. All of these used a layer mask, just so I don't have to say it every time. I have another cliff face. I used the clone tool, and I used the gradient to get this faded look, so it fades into the other cliff on a layer mask. And then I put this farm background here, and it's just a nice grassy hill. And then I put a farm on top. I used the brush tool to blend these in because the layer masks on their own didn't really blend very well, even with opacity, working with that. I had to get in here with the brush tool and just some different colors to try and blend it in a little bit better. I had then put this tree in here. I used the clone tool on this top edge to fill out here. I forgot to mention, on the city I used the blur tool to get a little bit faded in the back. I think I did that in the same on here as well, that cliff. And then yeah, so there's the tree edit that I put on, and that just extended it out. I was using the clone tool. This is a shadow for this girl. I used the shadow to make her fit in better, using, getting that grass in front. I used I went in with the brush to kind of get her hair because I couldn't get it with the layer mask. And then I put a hue and saturation layer on her as well. And then I put a little bit more shadow on her to make it seem like there was a reflection of sorts and really make it look like she was sitting on something. Because it was a little bit weird without it. And then I put this bridge in here. And so what I did with this bridge is I used the perspective warp tool that we learned in the, I think it was quick fixes, whatever chapter 5 was. And then I put a little bit of a brightness and contrast filter on there. And I put these lines on here, all using the pen tool. I use the perspective tool on this second set of lines to get it to work right. I then put a base to make it fit using the brush tool, and I also put some chains just for some interest at the bottom of the screen. And then finally I put the text bruh right on the top of the farm. And yeah, that was my process for this. Like I said at the start, it took me ages, absolutely ages. I think that my selections could have been a bit better. I think that I could have picked photos that kind of fit better, But I think the creativity with like cutting out a cliff so that it was floating and things like that, like, obviously that was not like that before, and just some of my changes were creative. They just didn't turn out as uh, like comprehensive as I thought. So that's my main issue with this. But other than that, I like the idea. I think it's funny. I think it's interesting. Um, yeah, that's it.